Buenos días a todos y bienvenidos. Damos comienzo a esta
Good morning to all and welcome. We hereby commence the 12th Spanish Passive House Conference, which is being held for the first time in this online format, still immersed in this strange reality caused by COVID-19. For those accompanying us for the first time, I would briefly like to explain what the association is. We're a non-profit association whose objective is to promote high energy efficiency in buildings, and we do so under the most demanding, widespread and well-known building standard worldwide, the Passive House Standard. We work in three areas: in the professional sphere, informing technical experts about this standard so we can offer this standard to our clients; in the social sphere, so building users can demand this standard; and of course, at institutional level, firstly due to the administration's capacity to influence and transform, and secondly due to its responsibility to set an example and promote excellence and a change towards zero energy consumption buildings. The association was founded in 2018, and today there are more than 800 members and 70 companies. This standard is continually evolving, growing exponentially, as evidenced in recent years, with 138,000 square meters certified at present, to which we will add various buildings, and in 2 years the total certified surface area will be 367,000 square meters. It is a standard establishing requirements regarding features and performance, establishing specifications just as the technical building code in relation to ventilation, but it's based on the passive principle in contrast to the active principle. The aim is to, let's say, clad the building to ensure that the energy necessary to maintain comfort is reduced to a minimum. It is a standard promoting maximum energy efficiency, where certification serves as a guarantee, insofar as the built result faithfully reflects the specifications in the design, to avoid situations such as those shown in the pictures. It is compatible with all environmental requirements because it focuses on energy-related aspects. The Congress began 1 week ago with an informative session focusing on the general public, in which we spoke about user experience in passive house homes. Today we continue with our consolidated institutional day, a day intended for representatives of the administration, which will take place after this. And the chosen theme for this year is renovation, which is increasingly necessary, not just from an energy efficiency standpoint, but also from a comfort and health perspective. One thing that this health crisis has revealed are the poor health and hygiene conditions of many homes in our housing park. So the aim of this event is to ensure that more and more administrations attempt to take on the challenge of promoting better quality living conditions while consuming less energy. Today's event will be followed by 3 other days, the 22nd, 28th and 29th of October, with technical conference days and virtual trips. As I said before, we decided to focus this institutional event on building renovation. As I said before, the current health crisis has revealed even further and more poignantly the imperative need to renovate buildings and ensure people are able to live in healthier buildings. The majority of buildings in which people have been confined and which they will have to live with this virus do not comply with the health requirements established in the Spanish Technical Building Code, and they fail to comply because the Technical Building Code was made obligatory in 2006. Look at the right-hand image. 2006, or by 2006, 92% of the buildings in the current housing park had already been built. This situation may give rise to what the WHO defined as sick building syndrome, SBS. And this refers to a situation in which occupants of a building experience one or more adverse health symptoms caused by air contamination in closed indoor spaces and inadequate compensation of temperatures. The air contamination is related to lack of ventilation and inadequate compensation of temperature associated with poor thermal insulation. And in relation to this ventilation, well, the question of ventilation has come to the fore in the current scenario as an issue that must be resolved in schools and also in offices. So, to design a building with comfort and health in mind, well, it's very interesting to design such a building. One must apply the same criteria as in other old buildings. In other words, ensure the good design of the envelope. And once construction has been completed and the building is sufficiently protected, the building must be ventilated continuously using a heat exchanger. And the heat exchanger ensures that interior temperature in the building is not lost. This results in energy consumption and economic savings. It can also help to combat energy poverty and, of course, affords many environmental benefits. So, the association is promoting and driving integral, comprehensive energy renovation projects. They must be comprehensive, but not just focus on isolated work or aspects. These must be comprehensive renovation projects, and during the construction stage, well, the project can be divided into phases. But these phases must be controlled to ensure that pathologies do not appear in the building, as can be seen in the right-hand picture, which is an example of when isolated work is carried out, probably with good intentions, but that work's often carried out in isolation. Often work is carried out on, for example, the insulation of a building, but ignoring the carpentry, windows and doors, giving rise to other problems, thus becoming a focus of, or foci of condensation, damp and, for example, fungi.
Es importante, bueno, desde la asociación lo que comunicamos, ¿no? Lo que tratamos de.
The association attempts to ensure that these comprehensive energy renovation projects are carried out in the same way as new building projects, but under the passive house standard. And why? Well, we have observed that regulations evolve continually since 2006, when the technical code was introduced, until 24th September 2020, just a few weeks ago. The technical code has been updated 3 times. Therefore, it's an evolving technical building code. Furthermore, if we take into account the definition of almost zero energy consumption buildings, passive consumption buildings and all those that complied with the technical building code, well, this would mean that a continually more evolved and rigorous technical building code would render other buildings obsolete. Therefore, to avoid this occurring, so that in 6 years there's not another change in the regulations, we demand that these building projects be carried out under the passive house standard. And this is the type of situations that we observe now. Buildings with building classification A or B. In other words, on paper, they have a very good energy classification, but in reality, on very few occasions is air tightness controlled. In other words, although it's not obligatory now, the technical code has begun to refer to this air tightness requirement. It can be justified theoretically, but tests are not performed, so there's no rigor in its enforcement. There's also examples such as air tightness trials, thermal bridge calculations and thermal photographs, and of course monitoring once the building has been completed to ensure it meets the requirements specified in the design plan. To summarize, the Association would like to offer the administrations and public authorities our guidance as exemplified by guidance that we've provided, agreements that have been signed with different administrations, introduction to the Passive House standard through conferences and training days for technical staff. We've also worked on recommendations for the provision of details and information on conditions and specifications and other contributions and regulations. So please contact us if you would like to collaborate with the Association. And I don't want to end without thanking all the speakers and participants in this conference. Thank you for your attendance and your dedication. And I would like to congratulate the administrations that are genuinely working to achieve building excellence in almost zero energy consumption buildings, such as Navarre, Aragon, the Basque Country, Asturias, and recently Castilla-La Mancha. So, enjoy the conference that we've prepared. Thank you, and goodbye.